Wait, do it again. Do it again. Come on. Do it again.
Good morning. Oh my God. Are we just like right into the podcast right now?
Why? It's the whole podcast is about coming to lunch with me and my friends. I feel like you lose half the value of the podcast. I don't think it's fair to the listener that we're having private conversations behind their back before the podcast starts. And Michelle, if anybody knows about feeling left out in this world, it's you and me. I don't want it to feel like a clique.
I hear you. Yes. Welcome to the lunch table. Welcome, everybody. Here we are. Molly, I love you.
If I'm being honest, I think we should just have a podcast where we talk to each other, but that's another conversation for another time.
I'm down. Let's do it. Let's do it.
So this is one of my best friends, Michelle.
Hi.
It's so wonderful because you also are in recovery from an eating disorder. So we can just have you on the podcast.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Yes. I'm so grateful. I've been wanting to be on this podcast since it started. I'm so honored, humbled.
Yeah, you are a fan of the show.
I'm a fan of the show. I'm a fan of the host.
Me too. But that's a $100,000 later of therapy. Here are all the things. Can I just say one thing? I was so glad I went to the dentist this morning and they gave me like a teeth cleaning and I wasn't expecting it. And like eating disorders and dentists, am I right?
Oh my gosh.
I was like, thank God I'm talking to Michelle later. I mean, the other thing I want the listener to know is that you're in like my eating disorder power circle. And I want to talk a little bit about that too. I don't know. I want to talk about everything, but
yeah, but wait, let's go back to dentist. I remember the first time I went to a dentist because when I was so crazy in bulimia, I, like hygiene, dentists, doctors, I mean, don't even ask. But then when I got into recovery and I booked that first dental appointment, I remember the fear of like, them being like, oh, hello, you've been vomiting for the last 15 years. And B, a mouthful of cavities and like decay.
Oh yeah.
Terror.
I'm such a treat at the dentist. He's giving me this he was giving me a PowerPoint about my teeth. And then he's like, yeah, it's really acidy food acid that causes cavities. And I was like, yeah. So I guess that's why so many bulimics have so many cavities. It's like clocking at like 7:45 in the morning. No. Meanwhile, this guy had like Googled me. And so he was explaining something about the teeth. And he's like, it's sort of like a peanut M&M. Have you ever had a peanut M&M, Molly? I was like, yes, doctor. I've been put to pasture. I've eaten all the peanut M&Ms. I promise you that.
Yeah, I am a peanut M&M.
Not by virtue. It's not by virtue that I don't eat peanut M&Ms.
No, but I remember I would go to the dentist. I would go to the doctor and I would like preface like, hello, before we begin, let me just tell you, I have an eating disorder. What you're about to see might scare you. Please don't show me any emotion because that will affect my sentence. So let me just, it's like how I used to, text people in advance, be like, FYI, I've gained weight since you've seen me.
Oh man, that's its own podcast.
That's, the worst.
The shame.
The shame. And like, I am so grateful because I talk about this a lot. Like I just had a baby, that's a lie. I had a baby 8 months ago, but it was like a traumatic baby. It was like an early.
I was in prayer circles for this. There was a lot.
I've had a few years. It's been a few years, but.
Well, I've been friends with you for coming on 11 years. And I have to say, it's been 11 years.
It's been 11 years. But the last few years specifically, mom going insane, turning, literally insane. I don't just like casually.
No, like literally insane.
Like DSM, schizophrenia,
the whole vibe.
Diagnosis. Yeah, the whole thing. But when Jordy, my second son he came 6 weeks early. There was a NICU stay. And my body has been holding on to weight like a freaking life raft. And wow. I've been like somatic therapying it, acupuncture, like I'm ready to release the weight, drum circle. But it's not releasing yet. And it's an interesting moment as someone in recovery from crazy bulimia,
Mhm.
to hold on to extra weight when I'm not having like an embryo in my hands, right? He's like about to be crawling, right? So like I can't, you even heard me. I was like, I just had a baby a second ago. Like, no, it's not a second ago. He's like literally has teeth and is eating, corn. But but it's hard because I feel that old sense of wanting to preface, right? Like wanting
Yeah,
to.
well, you're aligning your worth to your weight. I mean, it's crazy. By the way, you could have no babies and be holding on to weight, and you're
Even
wonderful and amazing. And
even that was a preface. It's interesting. And I heard another Dear Media podcast host, what's her name? Taylor Strecker. I heard a podcast, an episode where she was talking about how she had gained weight. She was going on a bachelorette party, and the person who was talking to her was like, "But you are so brilliant. You have so many accolades. Like, can you?" And it was one of the I could cry. It was one of the truest things I've ever heard. She was like, "Honestly, none of that matters.
Mhm.
Like, if I have gained weight, like
Mm.
if I have gained weight, that's the only thing that I feel in this moment that everyone else cares about. No one else cares about my accolades or whatever I'm doing. It's the weight."
Yeah.
And it's like so much of my life. And I know you obviously the same. Like that was just the calling card. That was just everything. I wouldn't leave my freaking house if I've gained weight. Like I wouldn't leave my room.
But walk me. I want to go back to like your
Okay.
brilliant history, but we're here. This is lunch. I love lunch with my friends because I have all these ideas of what we should talk about here. But walk me through this idea, because a lot of this is pregnancy and COVID or whatever. You had a baby. When did you have Riker? Right before COVID?
I had Riker in 2018.
Okay. So he was like 2 when COVID started. You have great kids. I I love that. Michelle has a second son, Jordy, and it's like Jordy just like got the memo that it's busy. Jordy's like, cool. We were at our friend Patricia's our memorial, which was amazing. And like there was a time where I was just like holding Jordy, and like Michelle was like nowhere to be found. And Jordy was like, yeah, cool. Just,
Totally.
am I
Yeah.
alive? We're good. Thank you for holding me. I appreciate you. Where's the
Jordy,
drum circle?
Jordy came to chill. And
Jordy came to chill. You want to know something? Molly did not.
yeah, neither
I was upside down. I had an umbilical cord around my neck, the whole vibe.
the whole
No,
thing.
Molly did not come to chill. So
Yeah.
here's my question, because we both have a lot of recovery in us and life is hard. Where do you make this distinction between, your body being this like amazing tool that just birthed like 2 lives? I mean, this is really the eating disordered person's locked up and has a noose around her throat while I'm saying this. I just want to say that. I don't want you to think I'm unrelatable, but where does it come where it's like, oh my God, I just gave birth to this baby and I have this other kid and I have a big, huge job, and maybe and I had all of this trauma happen in the last 2 years. Maybe I can be forgiving of myself. And I just had a baby and I do have weight on and I need this weight to come off. Like, where do you find, like, what are we missing in those two opposites?
I mean, honestly, it's a wild ride because so I went away on vacation this whole last week, and it's like this like very like preppy vacation with like,
Yeah.
vintage wines, whatever.
A
And
lot of vines. Yeah. A lot of vintage vines.
vines, many vineyards, many vines, many lives, many masters. Yeah, many whale belts, a
Yeah.
lot of
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I follow you very intently on Instagram, so I know everything that's going on.
but I was like, okay, like my outfits from last year like aren't going to fit. Like that is fact, right? That is
Mhm.
a fact. And so my choice was, do I cancel the trip? Or
I love eating disordered people. I
yeah,
love
like
that that's on the table.
yeah,
Nothing fits. Let me cancel the week-long trip.
yeah.
Yeah.
Do I
Mhm.
cancel the trip or am I just gonna wear black stretch pants and a black shirt like every single, whatever, and hide in the background of photos? Or am I gonna like buy new clothes and
Mhm.
And I chose to buy, it was a new choice
Mm.
because never before would I be like, yes, let me buy all new clothes. Because for me, it's like, never, this is a moment in time. This is not my real weight. This is not my real size. This is not real. This
Well,
is just
for me, it's like I need to be punished. Like nothing fits. You did this to yourself. Like no new clothes for you. Like I put on 10 pounds in COVID, as you well know, and I got a pair of jeans that fit. And I got to tell you, I think it's how I released the weight so quickly.
oh,
I'm telling you right now. I was actually thinking about it yesterday because I love the jeans. Just they fit and they look good, and they allow me to, like I'm not sitting here like worried about my stomach because I'm not sitting here just recriminating myself for being sick. Like, what is wrong with us?
I know. It's wild. No. So, I mean, and in my eating disorder brain's like, 10 pounds, that's nothing. Fucking 30 pounds over
Good
here.
for you, Molly.
Yeah. Okay. No, but I would say I'm not even weighing myself right now, but I'm like 30
Good.
pounds, I would say. And that's like my pregnancy weight. And so what I will say is I have to literally like write on my hand, like I had a baby, like my mom went crazy. Like I have to like remember, it's not just I'm sitting here eating chips. It's not, because it's not that.
But we would also say if you were sitting there and eating chips, you're still really lovable.
Yes. And I was just going to say again, and sometimes I am sitting here eating chips, right? Like that is also true. It's not, I mean, one of the biggest lessons I've ever learned in my whole life, and I've said this to you so many times, Molly, is like life, people, things are complex. So like my mom, for example, she's not just horrible or wonderful. She's both, right?
Mm-hmm.
My sense of myself is not just disgusted or accepting. It's both.
Mm-hmm.
I once had a network chiropractor, David Miller, and I had like a spiritual God awakening experience on the table, and I got up and he was like, sometimes you love your body and sometimes you hate your body. Sometimes you feel sensual and sexual, and sometimes you feel like that, overweight little kid that doesn't want anyone to touch you. But fucking it's all fucking you.
I have chills all over my body.
Like a mantra in my mind. It's like, fucking it's all fucking me. Fucking it's all fucking life. Like sometimes I feel fat and disgusting. Sometimes I realize, the miracle of my womb, who carried this baby. Okay.
That's not nothing.
No, it's not nothing, but it's both, right? Like sometimes I'm accepting and see myself beyond my body, and like I love her fully. And sometimes I just see my body, especially when we have a huge pool party full of the Easton, Connecticut moms in their bathing suits, right? Like I see my body then.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I was in the Hamptons for 2 months, and clock it at about 6 weeks. It really started to take a toll on my self-love for sure.
But the difference here, like the difference today than it was in the past, is like when I have these feelings of disgust, because that's the word for me. It's disgust.
Yeah.
Like if I catch a glance of myself in the mirror as I'm passing, a store window, and I haven't like situated myself in a perfect angle to see myself.
No, that's such a, that is such a, like, is that me?
Is that me? Or my shadow?
Sad about that, which is, as per your chiropractor, yes and no, right? That is just one angle of you. Would it be okay and reasonable to love yourself and think you're like, your shit don't stink, even if you saw that angle? That's the problem.
Totally.
That's the whole problem, because we see one angle or one thing, and that I think we have a lot of things in common, but I think that is so a part of my my growing up experience of being like the only fat kid, and just, listen, Marshall and Hannah says, like, shame is rooted in trying not to be rejected. So I'm shaming myself. I'm making sure I'm hyper vigilant that nobody's going to bully me. Let me bully me first,
Oh, no. And it's like, it's almost like when you just said that, it was like me, like almost to the bullies, like, no, I know.
Right.
Like,
well, by the way, that's what you're saying. I just had a baby. Like, that's just saying to the bullies, like,
yeah, like don't worry, I got her. She's in a cage. Like
Oh my God. I love her so much though. Take her out of the cage.
Okay, here she is. No, but Molly, my mom is here.
Hi,
And she's
Sharon.
literally downstairs right now.
Should we bring her on the show?
No, Molly, I'm not joking. She asked if she could come on. I'm
No, that's actually true.
no, I'm not kidding. She literally said, I have an eating disorder. And then she said, so does my pug. Can we both come on? My pug has an eating disorder. Um, she so I share this so many times. My mom is very small and like objectively small. She's
Yeah.
4'11".
No, she's teeny.
Yeah, she's a teeny person. She's 4'11". She is very, very small. And I am very, very big. I'm 5'10". I have size double D breasts. Like I am not a very small person. And so from age 8, 9, I was already taller than my mom.
Mm,
And so what that told me was something's wrong here because you're 8 and you're bigger than your mom.
mhm.
And so there was this feeling, and since then I like asked so many people, like, have you felt this feeling of like something is innately wrong with you?
Mm,
And something like this is not right. You're not supposed to be bigger than your mother at 8 years old. I wasn't able to voice that of like, oh wow, I'm larger, something's wrong. But that feeling of something's wrong, something's bad, you're bad, big is bad,
mm.
got into me so deeply. It burrowed its way like a mole person into my sense of self. And and then I carried that with me of like, you're something's wrong. And it's only in adulthood and it's only in recovery that like I ask people, hey, do you also feel like something's like really wrong with you?
Yeah.
Like, do you also think that maybe you're a sociopath? Like sometimes I like just like ask people like off the whim, like, do you feel crazy? Like maybe you're crazy?
I
Like
like to say that this is an absolutely true story. Said
I
that
mean,
to
I
me.
do all the
I'm
because
like, no, Michelle, no.
yeah, yeah. But I have, right? Like, because this feeling of something's wrong,
Mm,
something's wrong. And so I have a mother who has an eating disorder. I have a father who's a compulsive overeater. My
mm,
father, never went into recovery. My mom literally is still getting liposuction of her arms
oh, God bless.
at age 71. Like,
Mm,
now I can wear tank tops. Like, oh my God. And so I come from this, like you say, you shake my family tree and a
yeah.
bunch of alcoholics.
Everything comes out. Yeah.
Yeah, I love
And
when
the older you get, you're like, oh, look at that one.
totally. It's all of us. It's
Oh,
all of us. But even here and now, it's interesting because my mom has been coming over more, which is a whole nother podcast for a whole nother day. But I notice now how often she talks about what she's eating or how wrong it is, or wow, she's really letting herself eat everything as she eats like a Swiss cheese
right.
turkey roll up. Like, and so I have had to say to her, can you not talk that way in front of my kids?
Mm,
Like, it's okay. Like, and also the eating disorderness, like food falls on the floor, she eats it,
wow.
right?
Yeah.
And my son is like, why does Gaga eat food on the floor? Can I eat food on the floor? And so I'm like having these conversations of like, we don't eat food out of the garbage. We don't eat frozen food.
Mm,
And it's like, it's almost like me telling my inner child, like,
mm.
hey, like, no, we don't, we take, it's
It
interesting.
is like actually, well, it is actually incredibly healing. I mean, it's a really sad story, but it's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
You're getting so Gaga's given a lot of free therapy in the Easton House today.
Oh my.
Thank you for that, Gaga.
God is my therapist. It's like truly
Life is your therapist.
life is my therapist. It really is. There have been, and I talk about this so much. It's the muddiest of the mud, the darkest
Hmm.
of times have especially over the last few years, have allowed for such healing. My mom gets COVID, it goes to her brain. She turns schizophrenic for 3 months. She's inpatient at Yale. Me and my brother reconcile.
Yeah.
Miracle. Like,
Miracle.
I have this like horrible traumatic pregnancy. Jordy, it brings me, my husband, has his own mental breakdown. It brings us closer. It's like each mud really it's like no mud, no lotus, right? Like,
Well, let's tell them what no mud, no lotus means.
oh,
Because,
God.
not all of us are sitting on ashrams, but you
Yeah.
and I are. So
I
I
mean,
appreciate
not,
about us.
hashtag not awakened, but yes. Um, so no mud, no lotus. It's really just the concept that like you need to go through the darkness in order to find the light. You need to be buried to realize that you're actually planted, right? You need to
Wow.
in the mud to realize that you're actually just in fertile soil, right? Like you need these moments of deep, dark horror in order. It's like that Jason Mraz song. Like it takes I don't remember the exact song, Allie would, but like it takes the this to make a this, right? Like it takes the darkness to make the light.
Well,
It,
that's the thing I think about recovery has done for me, maybe most of all, is that my MO would be bad things happened, I would make them worse. So, I was looking through a tunnel, a 6 foot wide tunnel, I would make it 3 feet wide, right? It was like, oh, this is bad. Let me make it worse. And I think in recovery, because I've sat through so many hard times, not making them worse, that I realized like, oh, like maybe there will be an unexpected outcome here. I was at a meditation retreat on Sunday. My teacher was like, "How are you?" I said, I'm phoenixing right now." I made up the word. I'm phoenixing. I'm just rising from the ashes. And that's how I feel right now, but it doesn't feel bad. Usually I'm like, what's going to happen to me? What's this? Where's this coming? And I'm just like, I don't know. I'm good right now,
yeah.
feeling okay.
I feel like that's where this bumper sticker shit happens.
Shit
Like
happens.
it's like, and as I've gotten older, it's just like, oh, all right, shit's happening.
But
But it's not this like shit's happening. Let me burn it to the ground. Let me set ablaze.
I'll show you shit happening.
Totally.
But Mish, I appreciate what you're saying about the last 3 or 4 years. I've been here with you, but I also was there for that pretty solid bottom of bulimia. Like, can you tell us about that? Well, like, tell us, because you haven't had bulimic activity for over a decade now, huh?
So it's been 8 years of,
Amazing.
of not throwing up. And I define being abstinent of like, so I still eat the chips, as I said, and I still sometimes emotionally eat, but I'm not eating before, like knowing that I'm going to get rid of it. That is
Yeah. And
bottom
that's violent. I mean, that's some pretty gnarly self-harm. Like how you were bulimic a really long time.
yeah. So my eating disorder story. Love Michelle Brianna Goblin. So I started with like I was eating, in the dark and eating in out of trash cans from like as early as I can remember. Again, being in a household with a mom who like was only eating egg whites this month, right?
And then your
And
dad who's like pounding food.
my dad, who was I have this like visceral memory of him pouring an entire box of Honey Nut Cheerios into a mixing bowl, and we didn't have milk, so he poured apple juice in it and just ate out of the mixing bowl. And like
That's my kind of party.
it's just like here I
That's my,
am.
I would like, we were not allowed, I was not allowed to do any of that. That's like my dream. I did that once I got to college. I was like, I'm gonna eat all the Oreos. Who's
Yeah,
watching?
yeah, totally out of a fucking mixing bowl. So as early as I can remember, I was like eating, wondering like, why is Erica Shaw like not eating this entire Kraft macaroni and cheese?
Mm,
Why is how are these people like not finishing their lunch? I was definitely here's $2 for lunch kind of kid in
yeah.
elementary school. And
God, I loved when my mom gave me money for lunch. It was all big cookies all day. How
I
many could I
like
eat?
but for me that was so tied to like she doesn't really care. Like she's not like sitting like making a
Mm.
peanut butter and jelly sandwich. So this girl Lucy Conies always had like turkey and cheese and mayo and like
Oh, like
and
a nice sandwich.
a nice sandwich, like wrapped up in a little Ziploc. And I would ask her for some of her sandwich. And then her mother started making her too. One for me.
That's very sweet.
And also like very sad. So like so so I would have Like, so that's like how those are like my earliest memories of like coming to school with $2, getting lunch, and then like getting another sandwich.
Mm.
And like
Right.
going to friends' houses and like being just the feeling of like never ending hunger. And like now looking back from a spiritual perspective, it's like, what are you craving?
No,
What
like
was,
literally,
what
but you're already telling us. You're like, my mom's love and nurturing, like
totally.
an available parent anywhere.
I know.
Not
Sometimes
womp womp. That's some serious stuff. And it's early in life. And so it starts that, that's your finger. Mine, please. I mean, you can put me on your podcast. That's an enormous fingerprint to heal up.
it's a big fingerprint. And I could write a book, which I will, all around, that the whole dynamic between me and my mom with regards to her own eating disorder, her escapism, like she was my dad. Anyway, that's a whole other thing. But eating, searching, filling, and getting huge, getting very, very big. So by the time I was like in 8th grade, I was in maternity clothes for my 8th grade dinner dance, right?
Yeah.
Like, I was very large, and not just like, oh, very large. Like I was like in 8th grade, size 22 maternity,
Yep.
large.
Yeah. Well,
And
they didn't have clothes for us then. I was just in like boys' clothes instead. Like,
I was in maternity. I mean, I remember literally having a maternity dress. And then in 9th grade, I remember, so what happened was it was 9th grade, and my two friends, Megan and Erica, decided that they were going to go on a diet. And I didn't want to be a part of it, but I was going to be the judge. So I was going to say, okay, in 1 month we're going to do a weigh-in, and I'm going to say who wins, whatever, and who lost more weight. So they weighed themselves, and they were like normal, maybe a few, normal weight zone. And then they left my house, and I weighed myself.
Mm.
And I was like, wow. It was like the first time. And listen, I had been in like Jenny Craig, Weight Watchers, since I was 8 years old, 9 years old, 10 years old. My dad was a pediatrician on the Academy of Pediatrics, also a crazy, abusive person. But he was like, I was very aware of my BMI from like 7 years old, right? Like I was very aware of like where I laid in the chart, or rather where I did not, right? And so Erica and Megan left my house. I got on
What
the
did
scale.
you weigh?
I don't remember, but
But it was like much more than them.
it was like maybe 30, the 30 pounds I'm carrying now. It was like maybe 30.
There's some dynamic stuff, Michelle.
30
It's
to
like
40
a dynamic going on here.
30 to 40 pounds more than them, probably. And then I remember, and this was like, the year was probably 1999, 1998. And I went on the internet, which was like, we had like a computer room in my house. And I went on the internet and I looked up eating disorders. Like I heard about it in health class, like I knew about it. And I literally found myself on this website. Should I not mention a website, or is it okay?
Like an anorexic, like a pro anorexic website?
It was called Something Fishy. Do you remember that?
No.
Yeah, it was called Something Fishy. And it was an anorexic discussion board with tips and
Yeah, let me tell you what I think about not saying things. Like
okay.
people are gonna go find him if they
I
want
know.
him. Like I don't fragilize people.
And
That
this
ain't my gig.
Okay, good. And this is literally 20. No, I forget.
Like, how many there are? Just put in like pro Anna.
I know. I was like,
I'm not, I believe in my listener. If she or she or they want to go and find some pro anorexic websites, then that is.
It was like Encarta.com. Anyway, so I like go on and I find all of this information. I find this book, Marja Hornbacher, Wasted. And I teach myself how to be anorexic. I literally, and that's how it began.
That's a really heartbreaking story for someone who loves you as much as I do.
I know, it's very, very sad. And I got very, very sick, right? And so like all the things, right? Lost my period, fainting in school, addicted to laxatives, diarrhea in my pants.
8th grade, off and running.
8th grade off and running. After the 8th grade dinner dance.
After the 8th grade day. So really pre-9th, summer before 9th grade, off and running.
Off and running. And lost a lot of weight and lost a lot of my brain cells and lost a lot of my sense of self,
But
and
also got enormous accolades.
enormous accolades until something's wrong. Like, uh-oh, she fainted in school. Uh-oh,
Oh,
she went to the bathroom in her pants during SAT prep.
mm-mm.
Like not
Yeah.
good, to the
Yeah.
extremes.
Not a good look.
Not a good look. Not a good look. But it was like anorexic, like big baggy sweatpants. Like
Yeah.
don't look at it was sad. It was like, and then I went to anyway, and then quickly after that year, that changed to rampant bulimia. And then so it was like anorexic for 1 year and then rampant bulimia for 15 years.
Wow.
And always remembering that 1 year, always
Mhm.
looking back, that 1 year of control, of writing in my,
Yeah, no, this is real. But listen, I mean, especially in my community, like this is real, we can get, gosh, we can idealize a really unhealthy, unloving, self-harming time, want to get back there really badly. And I think that's true for a lot of people where these restrictive behaviors stop working entirely.
absolutely. I mean, I remember it for years. I would identify myself as like, I used to be anorexic. Like I'd be like, hi,
Right.
my name is
I just had a baby. I used to be anorexic. I love
totally.
you so much. I
I know.
love you so much.
It would be like years.
A lot of
Like
disclaimers over there at the
many
MG house.
I come with a warranty. Yeah.
Oh,
No.
it's
I
terrible because you're just the most lovable human,
no,
you
listen,
know?
I will say too, I love myself. I love my life. Like I really do. It is only in conversations with you about like that
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah. No, no, no. Like it turned out okay.
it all turned out okay. But yeah, then it was 15 years of fucking chaos. And like
Mhm.
fucking chaos, meaning just examples, me binging on brownies in my stepfather's cabin, then getting in the car to go to McDonald's on Jericho Turnpike in Long Island, not realizing that the brownies were hash brownies. And I'm literally hallucinating on Jericho Turnpike in Long Island as I'm going through the Wendy's drive-through. Eating out of trash cans, stealing food, like crazy shit,
And the
going
bulimia on top of it, right? So you're
and
purging
the
all sorts of
bulimia,
ways.
meaning like finding bathrooms in crazy places,
Yeah.
the late nights, like with Clorox wipes, cleaning, like,
Yeah.
hiding from my roommates as I got into my 20s, like turning the water on in the shower on, pretending to shower
Do you
as
know
I'm
this story about my old boyfriend, Doug? And we were living together and he was like, "Did you throw up last night?" I was like, "No." He was like, "Well, you and I are the only ones that live in the apartment and I didn't throw up last night." I was like, "I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't throw up last night." He's like, "What did Adela, the cleaning lady, throw up in the toilet?" I was like, "Yeah, I mean, I guess so." Talk about like we protect ourselves.
oh
I was like, "Yeah, and guess it was Adela." He's like, "She was here 3 days ago." I was like, "Fuck if I know, man."
my God. No,
That
that
was a short lasting relationship,
in
but
college, I stayed with this other another bulimic. It was like the two bulimics in, GW, uh, in our apartment. And she had like her crazy binge food in her trunk, in her SDT sorority trunk, like in front of her bed. And she was out one day, and I went in and I ate all of the binge food, and it
what
was
was it? Why are you saying binge food? I want to know what it is.
it was mini Snickers, not the
Mm.
big ones, but it was a bag
The
of like
squares.
the squares.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. So, and I ate all of them,
I love you.
and then I threw up, and then I was like, "Fuck," and like ran to CVS to replenish, like the replenishing.
I think half of having a binge eating disorder in your between like the ages of like 16 and 30 is all like is like how much time we spent like replacing food. Like I lived with this like roommate in New York City. Half of my life was replacing his food. I swear.
I know. I mean
And by
that
the way, like never buying it for myself. I mean, I'm not like, I don't
never,
believe in intuitive eating per se, but there's a piece of intuitive eating. Like, why don't you just buy your own and binge on your own food, mom?
never.
It's
I know. Isn't that it's wild? But I
wild.
replaced her food, and it wasn't the right Snickers. It was
Oh,
like they didn't have the exact ones. It was like the same size bag, but it was like dark chocolate inside
right.
milk.
Well, that's a significant difference if you don't mind me saying. I'm
Well,
just saying, I would be.
it was. So then I replaced it. I put everything back, and then she comes in and she's like later that night, did you did you take anything from my trunk? No, what are you talking about? And like, talk about gaslighting, making her feel fucking crazy of like, is my Snickers different? Anyway, yeah, the years of replacing food, the years of trying to cover up, the years of like having a face so puffy that I couldn't even bear myself to go to my big advertising job.
Yeah.
The years of like feeling so disgusting that I couldn't even walk outside and to have people look at me. So I wouldn't get on the subway. I would take cabs everywhere
Yeah.
because like I just couldn't bear having people look at my disgustingness, like all of
I
that.
get it. So
So
then how did you, I mean, I know, but how did you, what happened?
what happened was, so I hit a bottom. I have many lives, many bottoms.
Many lives, many bottoms over here too. I tell a story and I bet you people are listening like, well, I know she's healthy now, but like, I can't believe that story. I had bariatric surgery. Nope, that's not the end.
I love it.
I got caught throwing up, but nope, that's not the end.
Yeah, no, I love that. I mean, I love that you're talking about that. No, I was abroad in Australia, and as you do, and I stole all the food from my dorm mates. It was like there were like notes on the things. Who is taking food? It was like bulletin boards. And it got so bad, and I was so lonely. Loneliness was so innately tied to that time in my life. I was so lonely. And I didn't even go to class anymore. I just holed up in my little tiny dorm room and ate and ate and ate and ate. And I came back and I had gained, I think it was like 60 to 70 pounds.
Wow.
And it was summer in America, and I wore a winter jacket back. I'll never forget that. I was just like so like
Like hating of yourself. Yeah.
hated myself. And so I went to a hospital. I went inpatient when I got back from Australia, and that's where I learned about OA. And so that was in 2004, and they were like, yeah, you're definitely bulimic for sure. Like,
congratulations. Welcome.
but also you have a shopping problem, but also you are doing cocaine. Like also you have all of these things. So like my discharge plan was OA, but it was also NA,
Right.
AA, it was
CA, yeah,
all the A's.
all the A's.
It was like the A's.
They're like, you have an addiction. You choose.
Totally. You choose. But you're an addict.
Right.
Whatever one you like.
Our thought is this. Here's some ideas.
And so I left that. It's so funny that we're talking about this, because literally on the way back from Cape May 2 days ago, I passed the exit Bloomington Road in where I was at the hospital. And so I did my discharge. So I left the hospital, and then I went to outpatient rehab. So in Long Island, in Amityville. And so it was like a meth addict, alcoholic,
Did you feel like you were home, man? I feel like I'm home in a circle like that.
Not the first little while. It took a little, but the first few times I would like sit there with my Kate Spade bag, flash my BMW keys, be like, I have an eating disorder.
Self-hate is so wonderful, isn't it? You're like, I'm better because I don't do those things. I hate myself a little bit more because I feel like I can't relate to you though, right?
You're like, I don't know why I'm here. I have an eating disorder. By the end of like maybe a month, I was like, I am a meth head. Like, like we are the same. Oneness. Like
oneness.
Like, oh my God, meth, like Adderall, like it doesn't matter. It's a hole we are all trying to fill. I fill it with food. Like, holy shit. Anyway, so I found a way, and then I was in and out of Overeaters Anonymous for years. I would like come and I would show up and be like, these are my people. I also ate a pie of pizza last night. Bye, everyone.
Right.
See you next time. Like, it was just like, hey, everyone. Okay, I am not alone. And then, like,
but it also makes sense that you couldn't settle in with all like your parental stuff. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't safe for you. It would take me too. It took me a really long time to accept help. It really, any kind. I was like, no, it's fine. I got it. It's like, I think that's why half the reason I became an eating disorder therapist is like, maybe I didn't have to ask for help, just mastered on my own.
And I remember like it was like I went into the rooms, I left, then I found Adderall, and I'm like, wait, I
Mhm.
don't have an eating disorder
I'm
anymore.
good now.
Yeah. And then I found, a fancy like finance guy. I'm healed. Like, and but then it was like every single time I would always return to the food. And then it was in 2015, and I had taken 4 years off of dating because I was a crazy bulimic and I just like wanted to be with my food.
Mhm.
And then I was like in a energy circle, and like was like, it is time for me to get back on OK Cupid. And so I went back, got on OK Cupid, and this started talking to this guy, started dating this guy. And I said to him, just it was like so part of who I was. I was just like,
Mm,
hey, I just want you to know, like, I do this thing with food, no big deal.
I'm
Like,
fine.
I'm fine. Like, but I might like if I don't answer you for a few days, like I'm fine. Like
Right.
I'm with the
If you
food. And
see throw up in the inside of the toilet, it wasn't Adela, it was me.
oh my God. I know. It literally, it was like, and I said to him, like, it's just who I am. Like, don't worry about it. And he was like, what? Like, no. And he said, because his mom had eating issues. And he said, I worry about my mom and her eating. I'm not going to like be falling in love with you and worried that if I don't hear from you from like a meme that I send you, that you're dead around the toilet. And he
Mm,
said something that shook me awake. And he said, you've had this eating disorder for 15 years. You're an old timer, and
mm,
old timers die. And I was like, what? Like, this is serious? It was like, I knew it was serious. I knew I could die, but like, there was something about hearing him, like this totally objective person, like say it to me. And also, it was like two roads diverged in a wooden eye. Am I going to take the eating disorder? Like, all right, well, nice meeting you.
right.
Bye.
Or like love is in your face. This is her husband, by the way, just spoiler alert.
Spoiler
Um,
alert. Yeah. So I went back to OA.
wait, wait, wait. No, but like, I don't know. I just know Eric too. That would like scare me to my bones if Eric said that to me. He's just because he's really particular with his words.
Totally.
No, we're not. You and me, not so
And
much.
he was like, he was very serious of like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna walk away because
Right. Right. Like this, I'm not investing. This is a bad investment.
absolutely,
Mhm.
like this is not okay, like
Yeah.
normal for
It's
me.
a bad investment.
So I had this moment of like, am I gonna just choose me alone in my apartment with Bravo and like turning off my phone and turning and locking the door and ordering delivery.com to my door? Or am I gonna like choose maybe a relationship with this person? Like it was like so clear in front of me. And I was like, all right, like let me make a different choice. So I went the next day, I went to Overeaters Anonymous and I raised like with all my friends, hey everyone. But this time I raised my hand and I was like, I need to actually like work this program. So like I need a sponsor, I need a food plan, like all the things, I need to do it all. And I never threw up again. And that man is now my husband. We have 2 kids. We have a house in Connecticut. Like all the fucking things we have. Like I sometimes am like, what? I'm not just like throwing up in a room by
Right.
myself. Like I have children to take care of. Like what?
Well, we're able to shift our parts of our identity and really, I feel the same way in really profound. I always think about it the way people want me around and the way people trust me. And I'm
Ah,
like, me?
I know.
I'm like an unreliable binge eater who wants to kill herself all the time, even though I'm not, for lots and lots of years. But transformation is and healing is like very possible.
It's very possible. I mean, if the two of us,
The
like
two of us.
garbage can, fucking bulimic,
Yeah. We're like some low bottom gals over here.
yeah, like if find me a burger on the side of the road, I'll eat it. Like, and it's interesting because I see my mom eating out garbage cans, and it's like,
They're
oh,
like, oh, that's where I learned it.
there I am. Yeah, it truly is that. And like, if you are listening to this and you're like, oh my God, I cannot stop eating, or I cannot stop, obsessing, or I am just, I don't have a life. I just have my scale, or I don't have a life. I just have my food, or I don't have a life. I just have my body. Trust that it gets better. it gets better. And you
Well,
listen.
here's, I did a podcast with a friend of ours, Ashley, yesterday. She's
Yeah.
great. But the thing I'm really hearing is also like, you just never know. Like, this is why I say you never, ever, ever give up. You never, ever, ever stop trying. Because I think, and my story is very like that too. Like, if I knew that was my last binge, I would have added so much more. There was no good reason why that's the last time, honestly. Because it wasn't even like the time that my boss caught me throwing up at work. That wasn't the end. That was sort of the beginning of the end. That's sort of like the preface to the book of the end.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, who knew? Who knew that like Eric just like saying that to you? I'm sure he had said others. And that's, I think, there's so many lessons. I think, you're a little oracle and one of my very best friends, but like, you just never know. And it's why you cannot give up. If
Yeah.
you want to have recovery and have wellness and be in life, you can't give up. Quick question about, because I think there's another piece we're missing in all of this, which is how deeply connected you are to people around this. Though I have to say, after I had long COVID and I realized I had like completely isolated myself, I called you, as we do. And it's a really beautiful thing. I want to say, Michelle's a really profound part of my power circle. Maybe not an everydayer, but you are the kind of friend. And I encourage you all to find people like this where I say, Michelle, I really need to talk to you. You're like, what can you 12:10? What are you doing at 12:15? And I got on and it's like, it's medicinal, to have friends like you. We just got on and you're like, hey, here's the truth. I'm real out of touch too. And I think we're both really got back in line pretty quickly.
Yeah.
I got back into some connection. I got back into some groups. I mean, and I just started to work it differently. And it sounds like you did too, because you asked me to do a favor for you.
Yes.
But I mean, you're connected around this, right?
For sure. I mean, if it was just me alone, and I forget this every day. I mean, I really do. I wake up thinking I can do this on my own. And then I find myself like looking through my pantry, like, what? And then I realize that I can't. But even the kitchen closed, right? Like I need to remember that I am not alone in my eating disorder.
Yeah.
Because if I was, I would be around a toilet again, right?
Mhm.
Like if I was, I would be me in my room, Bravo and food.
Yeah.
I need to remember that other people are holding me with me.
Yeah.
And you, Molly, are just so one of those people, right?
Okay.
Because
Yeah.
it's crazy.
I'm really a happy member of your power circle.
You really, I mean, I adore you so much. And it's true.
It's important for people to remember that though. Like I am, I mean, I feel really blessed to be part of your power circle. And, cause I hear a lot of people say, I don't want to bother them. It's like, you're not, when you call me and you're in need, I'm like, hello, how can I be of service? I love you. And it's not just cause you would do the same for me. It's cause I like really love helping you and being in your life.
I feel the same about you. And I see myself in you, and I know you see yourself in me.
I do.
And so
You make me love myself more. I love you so much.
and like me answering that text or picking up that phone, it helps me too. It's also that also, right? It reminds me of who I am.
Yeah.
So it's just so important. It's so important to find people that remind you of what's possible, remind you of who you are, and can laugh about it with you.
That's right.
Because it's like, oh, here we are again.
Yeah, no, we do have a lot of laughter, you and me.
It's
Great. It's great. I love that we've been talking for 50 minutes and we haven't even like talked about what you do for a living. Actually, so if you want to talk about that, you can.
I mean, sure. So,
well, because I just think it's real great. Michelle created and my other friend, Allie, who I want to have on the show, who's also an enormous part of my food power circle, created an amazing Tell us what you do for a living. Don't have me tell you.
Yeah, so I run a company called Soul Cam Creative. So Soul Cam Creative, full service brand strategy development agency, working in the transformational space. So we help people like Molly, like yoga centers, like retreat facilities, like experts, authors, speakers, create their brands, create their websites, create their logos, get out of their way, get into the world, really create just a platform for themselves to allow them to share their message more
Yeah.
far and go
Michelle's a divine genius at this. I will say beyond a shadow that I have a tagline that's called says fiercely devoted to your freedom. And it's like when you meet with Michelle and it just comes out of her. And Michelle came up with that. It just was like, oh yeah, fiercely devoted to your freedom. I was like, wait, that's literally the tagline. You're like, anyway, what else do you want to talk about? You're like Elle Woods. You're like, what is it hard?
But I mean, the fact and that's all part of recovery too. Like I used to work in big pharma, big corporate. I used to do this for insulin and cardiovascular medication. And it was only through the process, of really seeing myself clearly and seeing what was possible that allowed me to step out of the cubicle that I was in, literally, and create something that I wake up loving.
Yep.
So that's so that's the agency. We're an amazing team, designers, developers, copywriters, strategists, all bringing you, your mission, your brand to life. And then we have Soul Camp, which is the experiential arm of our company. We're bringing it back next year.
Nah. Well, we're all going. There's 5,000 people listening to this podcast. We're all going to Soul Camp. It is life. I made the closest I've gone to Soul Camp. I've taught at Soul Camp twice in my life, maybe 3 times, 3 times in my life. I can't wait. This is like, I'm just learning this. Oh my God. Soul Camp's coming back. It's
2023. We have found the camp that we're doing it at. It is all happening. So this
is some breaking news. Well, yeah.
News.
Honestly, Michelle, how do we find out more? I love Soul Camp Creative. How do we find out more about Soul Camp? Everybody I know has to go.
Okay, so Soul Camp Creative is soulcampcreative.com. And Soul Camp is soul.camp. None of the information is up yet. And it won't be for a little
refresh. I'm an addict. Refresh.
Yeah, we have recently, kind of signed on the dotted line. So
I'm so excited. I've really been, and I have to say, this is not my way, patiently waiting for this. I've said nothing.
Yeah, it was really recover. I mean, like, talk about like having to truly put that down and not pick it up again until we were in a place.
You were ready. That's a beautiful thing, right? You stopped it for a while, you refreshed, you took care of yourselves, you had a couple babies, and now it's coming. I'm so excited. Well, anyway, I love you so much. I'm probably going to have you on the show 14,000 times. I want you to be like the Alec Baldwin of the show.
Yes!
I love you. Thank you so much for sharing your heart with us. This is like, you are the love language of what you're craving. I love you so much. Thank you so much for coming on the show today, my love.